Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan bonus podcast on Substack. It's the big one in Turin on Saturday evening as AC Milan take on Juventus at Allianz Stadium. We're going to be doing a little bit of a match preview and a look back through some of the classic clashes over the years. Happy Friday, Mr. Moller.
Likewise. Good to be back.
Yeah, you seem to be doing like a once-a-month appearance, which is good. It's more frequent than it was.
Every time Maddie is on vacation, AJ is not working, but then I'm on.
Yeah, he stepped up to the plate. Respect. As he said, Maddie's on vacay and AJ is away. So me and you doing the Juve preview. Obviously, we spoke a little bit about the game on the main pod, but given that we also had to preview Como, we didn't know various things, such as the injury to Pulisic, which has Conceição has confirmed that it'll rule him out of the game against Juve, which is a shame. It's a big blow. We sort of had to entertain the Super Coppa game, thinking we'd be without some of our key forwards, and so it was really. And this is going to be another pretty big challenge. We didn't look great against Como in the attacking phase. Okay, we did enough to get the win. We will have Leao this time, which is a bonus. No Morata because he's suspended. Chow is injured, as mentioned. Pulli out. We've got a few players who I don't think are 100%, like Reinders and Fofana, because they've been so overworked. It's going to be a tough task, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like you said, Pulisic. We keep saying it week after week. He's probably been our most important player throughout the season, or at least the most consistent player in terms of delivering goals, assists, and so on. Winning us games, you could say. So, on the other hand, Leao seems to be back in some kind of form. I think that dink against Como shows that he's, has good confidence at this moment. So that's obviously important, and it should be. I mean, we keep saying that Pulisic is so important, which is true. But like, if you see what like the rest of our forwards, and especially Leao, if he's in form, that we should be able to make up for Pulisic's absence. But it's like we said before we started recording. It's a huge blow, and we at this moment we cannot really replace him because Chukwueze is out injured, and in addition to that, he's never been in form lately. So I guess the only option is Jimenez, and he's okay. He's Bob Murphy, maybe. That was I said it in the chat before as well, and that was a strange sub to me.
What a cameo that was, man.
I mean, he's barely played for the Futuro and Primavera. I don't understand why he suddenly would be someone who comes on for the first team and makes a difference. I don't know. Maybe they've seen something I haven't, and that would be reasonable because I'm not a Milanello every day, but you get what I mean.
He got asked, did Conceição, sort of on the theme of attacking depth, he got asked, do you want a defender, a midfielder, or a striker from the transfer market? And he said, I want 3 points tomorrow. So he's keeping his cards close to his chest. I quite like that reply. He's not going to come out and say the squad's rubbish. Also, I think that this does highlight the urgency to go out and sign a forward, be that a striker or be that a winger who can also play up front. I guess Rashford ticks some boxes in that sense. João Felix is the latest link, which I've yet to really process. I can't really think in my head how it would work, to be honest. But here we are, because it's literally Leao, Pulisic, and we don't really have the depth after that. Okafor's deals collapse. We don't know actually what his physical condition is. As you mentioned, Chukwueze out for apparently another 2 weeks at least, and has been out of form, as you said. So yeah, we're thin in those areas. Jimenez is going to play right wing. I suppose a positive of that is that he should be responsible when it comes to defensive coverage. So the right side should be a bit bolstered in that sense. He's said already that Benacer and Fofana are going to play presumably in the double pivot, and Reinders further forward again, which I'm not totally sold on. But I am surprised that with us not having a proper right winger, he hasn't thought about playing Musa on the right of a midfield three. just because we've seen what he can do. He can cover basically 2 positions on the right side. But I don't think that this is going to be a game where we can go and just try defend a 0-0. I think we have to go for it a bit.
Yeah.
Because we need to strike while the iron's hot a little bit, in the sense that we've trimmed that gap to the teams above us who are dropping points at a faster rate than what we are somehow. And now we have a chance to really send a statement, But they're going to be out for revenge too. Vlahovic is back fit for them. He's obviously their main threat. So I guess always a little bit worried about that, especially with having to change the centre-back pairing again. There's a lot to digest in this. Conceição is out again by the sounds of it, which is a real shame.
I got confused for a moment there, but
not Sergio.
Now I see what you mean.
Conceição Jr. is apparently out again. Also, Rafa, when they did the mothers' names on the backs of the shirts, and it said Conceição on the back, I knew that'd come in handy at some point. Great photos.
Perfect. Now,
prediction: what do you think it's going to be?
I'm hoping, like you said, that we enter this game with some energy. I mean, I think that's been the main problem the last few games between us. It's like it's always been too much respect. This is a big game. Let's be a bit cautious, not go out swinging. But I think that's exactly what we need, and especially against Motta's side, they are defensive by nature. So we just need to hammer them basically with the Conceição energy, I guess you could say, comeback energy. But I don't know, 2-1 maybe.
It's one of those games where I think you need to pick your moments a little bit too. Like watching Atalanta-Juve, I think Juve potentially deserved to edge that. That was like the best I've seen them in some time. So we can't just think, well, they're drawing every game, therefore we can expect a negative performance. I think they are going for it. They're just sort of a bit like us. I think they lack in the final third a little bit. And that's been, that's been a theme for quite a few teams this season, but especially us and them who are underperforming in terms of position in the league table relative to squad cost and stuff. I expect another cagey one. If I offered you a draw, would you take it? Would you sign for it right now and just let the remaining 18 games do the talking? No,
it will be useless in my opinion. Also because we drew the game against Cagliari, so we cannot really say that we won these games, so it's fine in quotes to take a draw. So I think we just need to go for it. The draw will be a step back in my opinion, depending on obviously how it arrives, so to speak. But
if it's a comeback from 2-0 down, then obviously you take to whatever in that circumstance. But I'm with you. I think we need to go for it. After this, we've got Girona on Wednesday night in the Champions League. We've got Parma at San Siro on Sunday. That's an early kickoff, which I never like. Then we've got Dinamo Zagreb, and then we've got the derby. So after this, hopefully you start getting some of those players back, the forwards in particular, and then you go at that 3-game run, and it has to be 9 points. No two ways about it. And then you approach the derby, and you have to see where we are, because we've got the cup quarter-final 3 days after that. So it's a really intense schedule. I can kind of understand why they're not risking Pulisic, to be honest, because Conceição said I could play him 20 minutes, but I risk aggravating something further. And if that really is the case, then we can't lose him for a month. We just can't. So if it's 1 game out, we try and manage. Right. Yeah. Well, okay. That's the preview done. That's the,
and just to add to that, I don't want to go into the derby either with like having to win that game or being somewhat forced to win that game. It's better if we have a good run now, get to that game and can say, it doesn't obviously matters. It always matters with a derby, but you can sort of be more calm as opposed to Inter that have to win this derby. Like they've lost the last 2. They need to win now. So that the pressure is on them if we have a good run now.
Title race.
Yes, exactly.
So no, you're right. I would like to arrive at that game with there being more pressure on them than us. And hopefully with, Conceição said something kind of striking, and it's like we're not actually having any time on the training pitch. It's basically unloading session after a game, and then you have a middle 1 day in between where you can sort of work on the game. Then you have your game day eve session, which is always generally more tactics based, and you work on the team that you're going to play the next day, so Juve in this
Yeah.
case, and then it's the same cycle again. We're not actually getting days in a row on the training ground to work on things. So that's why I think Conceição is finding it hard to assimilate his style immediately. But as the days pass, you've got to hope that we arrive at that derby looking a bit better.
Yep.
We expect to see a more well-drilled, compact and aggressive is what he keeps saying, and I really like that. I like that as a buzz phrase. Righto then, let's do the bit of the preview.
Special edition.
Actually, I want to ask one more thing before we go on to this.
Yeah.
Milan-Juve is one of the most most played games in Serie A history for obvious reasons. We've both been in the top flight for the vast majority of our existence. Couple of flirts with Serie B, but who do you hate more, Juve or Inter?
Oh, Inter, 100%.
Yeah.
To me, it's not even that close. It's a different kind of rivalry. It's a different feeling when we face Juventus. Obviously, when they had their dominant run, it was never fun, but it's never really been the same. I guess that's always going to be the case when you're not in the same city and stuff. But yeah, definitely Inter, no doubt.
Yeah, I think for years when I first properly got into supporting the club and going to games and stuff, it was definitely Juve because they stood for everything that I hated. There was all the allegations going around, and they had that run of 9 titles in a row, was it?
Yeah.
Ridiculous amount, and they just had a monopoly on the league, and it was so frustrating because if ever a team came close, they would just sign the best players, and
spend money.
And it was like with Inter, even during the banter era, it was like at least we're competing on an even footing with them, and the derby did take on a bit more. It's taken on more relevance in recent years, basically. But back then, the derby was all we had.
Some of those lineups are insane looking back.
Yeah,
even for Inter, like Murillo in defense. I mean, all those players.
People
Hernanes,
forget that
I guess.
2014-15 was it when we finished 8th? They actually finished 10th. Like people forget how mad that some of the drop off was from both teams.
It's a tough time, yeah, exactly.
And then we've climbed back to the top, and now I think it's started to swing a little bit more. Especially since in recent years they've kind of closed the gap a little bit on trophies. Thankfully, we padded it out in the Supercoppa final. But yeah, I hated Juve because I felt like they were untouchable, as annoying as it as bad as it sounds. But now things have switched a bit. I'm feeling a little bit different. But yeah, I just think it's interesting. Let us know in replies who you hate more and why. All right, yeah. Okay, now we'll do the fun preview. Let's do